Hello there and welcome to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about my pest warnings for May. Now before I start, a number of my lovely viewers have mentioned that they don't like it when I get my face too close to the camera, and I can understand why. This face is not as handsome as it used to be in my early days, but there is one very good reason why I stand so close to the camera, because if I get any further away you will find that you can't hear anything I am saying. And you can say, well, why don't you get yourself some remote mics? Well, goodness me, I've got through so many of these things, so many are hopeless. We have purchased some new ones, and now we're going to have to upgrade all the cameras to make them fit, so it's a wonderful thing. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the pest and flipping other problems that we've got for May. Come on. So this year the winter just didn't want to let go, and spring was delayed by 2 to 3 weeks with poor cold weather and frost, and then we had a really hot spell, and that means there's been an absolute explosion in the number of pests that have come to the forefront, including a veritable smorgasbord of the various fungal and bacterial infections. So wherever I look I am seeing damage from the vine weevil, I'm seeing damage from the scarlet lily beetle, I'm seeing slug and snail damage, I'm seeing caterpillar damage, particularly the box tree caterpillar, moth caterpillar, which is an absolute pain in the backside. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the most common ones that I'm seeing. I go through them one by one, and then I'm going to tell you what management that you can put in place. Now if you're watching Gardener's World with the lovely Monty Don, you'll notice that Monty Don does not talk about any kind of pesticide management. He is well on with that organic management systems, and that is absolutely fine. But for me, I don't like my plants being hurt, so I don't mind using chemicals. They're like my children that don't answer back, children that don't eat my food, children that don't phone me in the middle of the night saying, oh, can you pick me up from the station please, children that oh, hold on a minute. If you're finding this video useful or even just mildly amusing, then don't forget to click the thumbs up, press on that subscription, and if you want to be notified of whenever we release a new video, then click on that notification bell. It helps us more than you know, and it allows us to do stupid visits like this in the future. Anyway, let's continue to find out what old boiled butt has to say. Put my bloody glasses back on. Too hot, too sunny. It's too lovely.
Slug and snail damage.
Now, despite the RHS saying that slugs are no longer to be considered a garden pest, I'm flipping in this way, because of all the good that the non-damaging slugs do in their recycling in the garden, I still don't want them eating all my plants. There are no effective chemical methods with which to treat these. The old slug pellet, which had metaldehyde in it, which was an excellent product for dealing with your slugs and snails, but also had the downside of being extremely toxic to the wider environment, because if the slug is eating the toxin and then a slug predator eats the slug that's eating the toxin, well then the toxin then also goes into the predator, and then you have a reduction in thrushes, reduction in hedgehogs, and so on. So that's not a bad thing, and the replacement products, they're just not very good. So really you only have organic methods to treat them with. The RHS, no longer a pest, they've done extensive trials onto which organic products work best, and let's be honest with you, there aren't very many. We've kind of got it down to about 4. The first one is to use beer traps. Now they are a little bit hit and miss. You will need to use a smelly yeasty beer. You might need to change that beer around, and after all the slugs that are attracted to it have been taken by the trap, then all the rest of them are still hanging around and making it all baby slugs. The second one is to use nematodes, but the borders need to be very wet because these are water mobile. So if your soil dries out, you made an application of the nematodes, they're not going to be able to move around to find slugs. So that's again a bit hit and miss. You can encourage pest predators into your garden. I don't know how you're going to do that. We're going to become some kind of hedgehog trainer, get a little whistle and that's not going to work really, unless you've got a pond, and then you can attract toads, frogs, and then they'll come into the garden. But then there are other risks involved in that. Or probably the best one is just for you to get your torch, get your little gloves on, maybe something to pick them up with, and go out at night and have a little search around. They're quite easy to find because you can see the trails of the slug, and you know what I mean. But I do have a tip for you. Rather than just pointing the torch on the leaves, also point the torch, get down on your knees and have it under the leaves, and then you can see the shadows of slugs and snails that are under the leaf through the top of the leaf. It's a very good way of finding them. And when I was out the other day trying to find something that had put a massive hole in a few of my plants, put the torch underneath, and a massive caterpillar plopped out, which I think is a hawk moth caterpillar. So to be honest with you, I actually loved those. So I let it carry on eating the plants, and that's a rarity for me. Oh, hold on a minute. If you're finding this video useful or even just mildly amusing, then don't forget to click the thumbs up, press on that subscription, and if you want to be notified of whenever we release a new video, then click on that notification bell. It helps us more than you know, and it allows us to do stupid visits like this in the future. Anyway, let's continue to find out what old boiled butt has to say. Put my bloody glasses back on. Too hot, too sunny. It's too lovely. Hold on, if you want to know what Monty Don's organic management advice is for slugs in your garden, it is this: don't overfeed your plants, because then it will produce lush green growth, all lovely, soft and yummy, and then the slugs will eat it. That's it, that's all you got. Monty, come on now. Look at all this tree debris that's been coming over in the winds. Anyway, so these are my box plants, and you can see these like little clusters of branches that are stuck together with a bit of webbing. And that is a very clear indicator that you do have an infestation of box tree caterpillar, moth caterpillars on your box plant. Now, Monty Don will be pleased to hear that there are no inorganic pesticides that you can apply on your box plants to kill off these caterpillars. So don't even bother trying, even if it has got a picture of a caterpillar on your little spray bottle of insecticide. It isn't going to work. There are only 3 ways that these can be managed, and that is by you going through it and picking them out and disposing of them as you will. The second one is to encourage birds into the garden that would eat them, and there is very, very limited anecdotal advice that this is happening. However, as time progresses, there may be more birds will discover that there is a valuable food source within these plants, if there's any flipping left in the country, and start taking them, which will be very useful. The third way is to apply a predator nematode called Bacillus thuringiensis. However, unless you have a commercial pesticide license, you are not allowed to spray it. Purchase it and apply it, you could find yourself on the wrong side of the law. So I've seen that the vine weevil is out in force once again, and this is a particularly insidious pest that was a nursery pest that came over from Europe because we just didn't have satisfactory regulation in place to stop people sending in infected plants. And now it's all here in the UK, and they get you at both ends. You have the adults eating the leaves. You can spot the adult damage a mile away because they have characteristic notching in the leaves from when they eat. You don't see the parents too often unless you've got an absolutely huge infestation. And the second problem you have is with the grubs or the larvae of the vine weevil, because they will be hidden underground eating the roots, and if you have enough of them eating the roots, eventually you'll have no roots. The plant will start to die off because it can't take in nutritional water, and in severe cases the whole plant can just fall over because it can't support itself. So what do? You can only manage these with pesticides, and Bravado really is the only company that's selling anything that's any good. The active ingredient used to be a product called imidacloprid. I think I said that quite well. However, it is very, very long lasting. It was developed for the container grown plant industry. So you pour it into your pot and it will stay in there for 3 months. But the trouble is, if you're producing plants that bloom and you have these outside, then pollinating insects will take pollen from the plant. That pollen will be infected with the imidacloprid and it will kill off the insects. So quite a nasty product. Luckily they've changed the formulation, and these chemicals do not stay in the ground as long as they're used to. But with all these insecticides, always check how long they last within the plant and make sure that that time period does not match up with the flowering time of that plant. You do not want these insecticides viable within the plant when the plant is in flower, because you'll have the knock-on effect of killing off your beneficial pollinating insects, and that is very naughty. If you use these products carefully to the instructions, they are absolutely fine. If you don't, you're going to cause some damage, and that is why Monty Don gets so angry. You know he's got a temper on him, you can tell it in his face. Scarlet Lily Beetle is next, and do you know, I quite like this one because it's pretty. However, if you don't deal with it, it's going to breed profusely, produce all these lovely little grubs. The grubs will eat the leaves, they'll poop, they'll stick the poop on their back, and you have this disgusting stinking mess on your leaves of whatever leaves are left on your plant. So it's horrible, nasty little creature, and you want to action their removal as quickly as you can. They're so easy to spot being bright red, so it's not too hard. Just be careful of that. Any kind of disturbance and they'll drop off and then land upside down where they've got their black belly showing up and you just can't find it. So be aware of that. But any kind of insecticide will deal with it, or pick them off, dispose of them as you will. And the last one of my list of insects that are everywhere at the moment are your aphids, and there's quite a wide range of aphids. Aphids are a problem in two ways. Firstly, they suck out all the living goodness of your plants, and secondly, they are vectors for transporting viruses around the garden. It's like having infected needles on a druggie, or the chemically enhanced, I don't know what they like to call themselves nowadays, but yeah, infective stylets. They're the specialist biting sticky thing on their face. So that's two reasons why you want to keep an eye on your aphids. Yes, you can apply a simple chemical onto the plant, get through the whole plant and kill them off, but just be aware, do not apply these chemicals if the plants are about to come into flower. That is a no-no, as I said earlier. Alternatively, you can wipe them off with your hands or get a hose and spray it off. Try not to damage your plants, because you will do the bigger leaf plants, but whatever you do, get them off. Like I say, they suck all the life goodness out of them and also transfer diseases. Just get on with it. Now, this next pest may surprise you. In fact, it is a little bit left field, or should I say left wing. That reference will become clear in a minute. Now, check out the foliage damage on this cherry tree. And this is something I've been finding more and more on some of these ornamental and edible stone fruit plants. Now, if you look at it, you can't be blamed for thinking that is typical caterpillar damage, but if you take a closer look, there'll be no silk webbing, there'll be no characteristic poop from the caterpillar, and in fact there are no caterpillars at all, and that's is because it's not a caterpillar, it is in fact flipping wild pigeons. Now, for some reason, and it may well only be happening here in West Sussex on the south coast, pigeons are eating the fresh growth, the fresh foliage as it emerges from the branches in the spring, and making an absolute flipping ruinous mess of these poor trees. And I've seen them do it, and I know people who've also watched them do it, thinking, what the hell am I going to do? Well, what can you do? Buy a cat, get a gun license, I don't know, maybe just let them eat it. I mean, if it was down to Monty Don, he would probably just remove the tree, and then of course there's no problem. Anyway, pigeons, who'd have thunk it? Right, funguses, bacteria and viruses. Probably the most popular of all the viruses is your canavirus. If you've got canavirus, you can't put anything down to deal with it. You cannot manage viruses. You just need to dig up and destroy, as in burning those plants, so you don't have vectors like aphids passing that thing on to the other plants. So that's that dealt with. Bacteria, at this time of year in the spring, plants like your stone fruits, your cherries, plums, damsons, apricots, nectarines, if you start pruning them at this time of year when the air is damp and we've got rain, they're very prone to bacterial canker. So don't cut those plants, and you can't spray for it. There's nothing else you can do. All we can do is try and cut out plants that are infected with bacterial canker. It's easy to find. You have weeping open sores. Lovely. So it's the funguses. Funguses are very easy because there are plenty of fungicides that you can use to apply. And if you want to know who's got the first ones, it's going to be your roses. They're an absolute magnet for fungal infections. They'll get botrytis, they'll get black spot, they'll get rust. Again, if you want to try and manage that organically, you can just pick off all the old leaves. You can remove any fallen leaves in the autumn, as they do, because the fungal spores will stay in the ground and they are lifted up back into the air with rainfall. Alternatively, always purchase plants that are disease resistant. The rose industry has been really bad about producing plants solely for their scent or their blooms and nothing to do with their pest and disease resistance, because back in the day people used to spray anything with impunity, but of course now we can't. So if you've got shocking looking roses, come on in, just grab them out, chuck them away. Don't forget, you cannot plant a new rose in the place of an old rose because of soil sickness, which is what the Victorians used to bang on about when they were being clever. We found out later that it's a nematode that is in the soil. So if you're going to plant a new rose, plant it somewhere else. There you go, another reason why I can't stand roses. And I've got a flipping thorn in my thumb from working on mine yesterday. The vicious little buggers. Anyway, if you've got any other pest diseases that you would like to add to my May pests and disease, what do I call it? Pest and disease, something or other, then you're more than welcome to do so. Just put that in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Can you still hear me if I do that? Goodbye. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while I still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.